ENS
ENS
at clevelandohio.gov.
at clevelandohio.gov.
Good morning, Maurice. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Maurice, 6101 St. Clair. I do not want that postponed. I'd like for that to move forward, please.
Okay, I will let Elizabeth know.
Thank you.
I do not have old business. It should be in there. In your. Oh, in here? All right, I just have extra. Yep, I do. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, you ready? You ready, Maurice?
Mhm.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals for this Monday, November 6th, 2023. We'll start with Ms. Kukla reading the preamble.
Good morning, my name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals, and I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning. This Monday, November. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021, the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that calling users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We have provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Would you call a roll, please?
Sure thing. Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Ms. Roca?
Present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Holzer?
Present.
Ms. Faith?
I am here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 5 members.
Yay.
We do have one postponement request regarding 23-179, that's calendar number, 15225 Industrial Parkway. The appellant has requested a postponement. They don't state why. I'm assuming that they are conferring with the community, but I do not know for sure. So
Okay.
generally we give 30 days, right? And so let's see what that date will be. That would be the beginning of December, which would be December 4th.
All right. Liz,
And that's it.
all the cases on here say 22.
We corrected that for the next one. We got
Okay.
it. Thank
Got
you.
it. Thank you. 12-4. Okay. And I see we have Councilman Hairston with us. Anyone else, Maureen?
Nope.
All right. So Ms. Holzer will begin with calendar number 23-144.
Sounds good. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Our first case, good morning. Our first case is going to be calendar number 23-144. This is at 6101 St. Clair Avenue. Edward Turk Jr. proposes to establish use as a motor vehicle service garage in a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. This case was postponed on October 2nd due to a lack of quorum. There's also a note here that a variance for motor vehicle service garage use was granted in BZA calendar number 17-349, but a subsequent permit was not obtained. And with that, I will hand it over to, sending it over to Ms. Wilson?
Ms.
Brown?
Wilson, you want to do the,
Wilson.
oh, all right, Ms. Wilson will do the oath today.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So for everyone who will speak in this matter, I will swear you in. After I state the oath, please raise your hand. Reply with "I do," your name and your address. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Oh, you're here in present. Please join us at the table. I'm looking on the computer.
Yeah.
Where are they? That is hilarious.
Right here at the table.
Chairs, right?
Yeah, pull up a chair. You're here, you might as well join us.
Welcome. So do you swear or affirm that the statements you will make are the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll start with one at a time. Please reply with "I do," your name and your address.
My name is Edward Turk. My home address you want? Oh,
You can give us this address.
Okay, 6101 St. Clair.
Say "I do."
I do.
Okay, perfect.
I do, Diana Turk, 6101 St. Clair Avenue.
Cynthia Brooken, 60 St. Clair Avenue. I do.
Okay, all right, perfect. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Could I have
Councilman
these-
Anthony Hairston, Ward 10, 601 Lakeside. I do.
Thank you, Councilman. We can't see you this morning.
Yes, I'm moving around. I apologize. I don't want you to be distracted by my movements today. It's the day before a very
Okay.
important day.
All right. Okay, history of the property?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to state one more thing for the record regarding the timeline. This case was scheduled for October 2nd, and it was postponed to this date at the request of the councilman to allow him time to meet with the applicants.
Okay,
So the history of this property is that in 1929, it was zoned semi-industry. Then in 1988, it was changed to local retail business. The most pertinent information, as was mentioned by Ms. Holzer, is that in calendar number 17-349, this board granted a variance to change the use from a gas station to minor auto repair in a C1 local retail business district. This board granted it on December 18th of 2017. It was ratified on January 2nd of 2018, and there were no conditions placed upon that approval. The notes on that state that the tenant stated he would provide minor auto repair only, that the hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday. The city planner at the time stated that from the field survey, he discovered that the building was obviously built as a gas station with auto repair as an accessory use, as there are 2 garage bays on the building. And he recommended approval, as it seemed that the use had been discontinued, but the auto repair remained lucrative and never officially was abandoned. So
okay,
that's all that I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
great. Do we know who the planner was at that?
Oh, yes, it was Ashley Holloway.
Oh, okay, great.
And that was in 17?
Yeah, that was in
Okay.
calendar number 17, and the official date of ratification was 2018, January 2018.
Thank you.
All right, legal standard?
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance from the requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Great, thank you. All right. Mr. Turk, are you going to be the spokesperson?
I could be, yes.
Okay. Tell us what you want to do.
I want to get the variance.
Okay. So, have you had an opportunity to speak with the councilman? Okay.
Yes, I've been working with them.
You've been working with them?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So, let's go through the, variances you're asking for.
And she could really speak on behalf of
Okay,
them, 'cause she-
great.
Sure.
Why don't you go ahead then?
So we actually are asking for it to stay what it's always been, which was an auto repair shop. So it was my grandfather's from the 50s, then it went to my dad. And then my dad put a tenant in it, and the tenant was supposed to, they never did an occupancy permit way back in the 50s. So the tenant that he had in it was the one that applied in 2017 to get the occupancy permit. And then that tenant left. And then the new tenant came in and he was supposed to keep going up with his license and he didn't. And that's what we got into was, oh wait, there's no occupancy permit because he let his license or something go for a year or the fees or whatever was due. And that's how it became known that there was no occupancy permit on the property.
Okay,
So my parents have it rented to a tenant that wants to work on cars. These cars are there right now. They're not all going to be there. We told them they have to be behind the fence or in the bay. They can't be all over. You could leave 2 out and that's it overnight. And he's agreed with that. He has people that want him to work on cars and he hasn't been able to work most of the year because he tried himself to get the zoning exception and he's like, I don't know, he failed. So then I'm like, I'll take it over. So for my parents, so.
okay,
He just wants to be able to work on cars, tune-ups, changing tires, brakes.
okay, so minor repairs, so we're talking tune-ups. No body work.
No.
Oil changes, tire rotation, that sort of thing.
Maintenance.
Okay. All right. So everything we're talking about is listed in variance number 2. So that's going to be the extent of it. Let's see, and it has been ongoing with the exception of the most recent debacle with the tenants, right?
Yes.
Okay. What are the hours of operation going to be?
So we had just said that he can't go overnight and no Sundays. The church is over there and I think people like to park there. So no work on Sundays and no overnight. So we had written a letter.
Yeah,
to
we've
the
got to have some time.
Councilman. So we had said no work after 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. He may not work those full hours, but we didn't want to restrict the tenant. We just don't want him there at night, working on cars.
Okay. And so that means then Monday through Saturday,
Monday
right?
through
No
Saturday.
Sundays.
Yes, no Sundays.
All right. All right, do you want to speak on behalf of the councilman?
Well, the councilman can speak for himself. I
Okay.
can speak on behalf of myself.
All right.
You know.
Okay.
I was them.
What,
and-
what other information do you have to share?
Well,
with
I didn't
us?
have any other information. I'm just saying they agreed to beautify their property. They're going to paint it and just put flowers and stuff because they're on the corner
Mhm.
of St. Clair and 61st. And so they agreed to do that, and they only are gonna have 2 cars, so it won't be all those cars that are shown there.
Yeah,
And the rest of the cars will be behind the fence or in the bay.
okay.
And so, yeah, I approve them getting the variance as they agree to these
Madam,
stipulations.
Madam Chair, on that point.
Yes,
Thank you for the comment about beautifying the property. I was gonna ask who will maintain the property? I don't know if you have a lease or a letter agreement, so who will maintain the
The
property?
tenant, yes, the tenant. So, yeah, we can update the lease with these new things. They, the councilman had asked us to do a letter, so we can add that to the lease.
yeah, that's a document we'll want to have on the file.
Okay,
So you'll submit that to Ms. Kukla.
Okay.
Okay,
Madam Chair, to Ms. Brookins, do we have a copy of this letter?
No, I just received this morning.
Oh, great, can I get a copy? I can
Yes.
do a copy, but here you go. This is your only copy.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I did have one more thing. I don't want to interrupt Ms. Brown. if she's-
I'm done, thank you.
okay,
I do have an opposition letter.
okay.
It's from Mr. Rastatter. I thought maybe I should say this before the council person.
Right.
Hello, I'm writing in opposition to the variance request for motor vehicle service garage at 6101 St. Clair. Per the notice received regarding 23-144, which is on the agenda. I own 2 commercial multifamily properties in the immediate vicinity of the subject property and am a past member of the St. Clair Superior Development Corporation Real Estate Committee. I've received complaints about this property from tenants and neighbors in the past. Area residents want and need more appropriate retail goods and services along the corridor. The requested use is no longer appropriate for the general retail business district and particular location. Neighborhoods evolve and so do the highest and best use of commercial properties throughout the city. Additionally, the property is seemingly functioning as a used car lot, which I'm guessing is also not a permitted use. Thank you for the opportunity to submit a comment. Thank you.
Which raises a point. There is no intention to have any cars for sale on the lot, right?
no.
Okay. This pops up frequently, particularly on the west side, so.
Actually, we should prohibit it.
Correct.
You should prohibit it.
Okay, can do that.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Board, do you have any questions or comments further?
Questions for me, Madam Chair. Did the councilman speak?
Not yet. I'm going to call on him. Okay. Councilman, do you want to make a statement at this point?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board and staff. Good morning to you all. As I said, my apologies. I'm moving around. I don't want you to see my various backgrounds as I'm in and out. Tomorrow's a very important day, so I don't have to say what day it is, but you know, it's a very important day for all of us. So moving on. So yes, very important day. So moving on, the property owners here, yes, we've been in contact, and Cynthia Brookins from my office has continued that conversation with the owners of the property. I too share a lot of the concerns that you all have raised even before now. I was aware that there was a variance granted by this board back in 2017, which I have no problem with if the stipulations from 2017 are put in place with additional stipulations such as no work on Sundays, no body work at all, because we do not want this to turn into a body shop that's operating all types of days with all types of debris flying throughout the neighborhood. There should be absolutely no car sales at all on the property. Absolutely none. And I'm fine with the no Sundays work. I think that's appropriate. And also restricting the hours Monday through Saturday. I believe the 2017 variance had a different time frame than the 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. that was submitted by the appellants. Can you all reshare with me what those times were from 2017 that were agreed upon?
Correct. 1 second, Ms. Kukla has that.
Yes, I just passed those out to the board members as well. Okay, so the times were 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, and then 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday.
Okay. I think 4 is stopping a bit early. So I would suggest maybe going to about 6 or 7 o'clock, maybe 7 to 7, a 12-hour day, right? To allow for the work. As indicated, one of the issues that I had was this picture that's on the screen of all of these vehicles just kind of out and being stored on the exterior area of the property. And the appellants also, as we shared with them, that we would only support a maximum of 2 cars that does not have excessive exterior damage to be stored on the property outside of their fenced area overnight. There should be not any cars left on the streets overnight. There should be not more than 2 cars left in their parking lot without excessive damage stored on the property. They also, we talked about having them install like some large planter pots on the corner where the property is, down to the adjacent property owner next door, the residential property. So that way we can uplift that corner because it does sit at a corner. And so we want to make sure that we kind of shield kind of the work that's happening there, would also, beautify the neighborhood as well. And really, that's all for me. As long as, we can ensure that these stipulations are attached to the variance request, then I have no objection to the variance request. As you've indicated that this has been scheduled, this was scheduled back in October. It was postponed until November. So anyone else who's had issues or questions or concerns have had ample amount of time to reach out to my office and reach out to you all to share their concerns. I am not familiar with the gentleman who has written this letter. However, they are clearly mistaken, but this property has not operating as a car lot at all, and we want to keep it that way. That has never been the feeling that I've gotten from this property when I've been down in the neighborhood. And I live off of St. Clair, so I'm all up and down St. Clair all the time. And as the property owners indicated, this tenant has been doing the right thing. They have not been operating. And so once they started this process and knew that they could not operate, they've been closed, which we don't see very often. We see businesses trying to get up, operate under the radar and come in late at night. And no, they've actually been good folks here at this property. And so we want to keep it that way. And so that's only concerns that I have this morning as relates to the variance request.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Councilman. I would be in agreement with you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I could, I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt. The document they prepare is going to have to be revised. So we want to make sure we indicate the things that we discussed today in their document. So that way, when they resubmit it and sign it, that'll be the correct version attached to the file.
Correct. Those will be conditions on the variance. And
Yes.
I'm in agreement with you on the hours being 7 to 7. I think that's 7 to 4 is probably too restrictive. And 7 to 7 seems more reasonable, yet sensitive to the neighbors. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
Maurice, I can't tell, do we have any curb stops on there? And I'm not seeing any striping, correct?
There's no, there's a continuous curb cut from almost the corner of St. Clair there. You can see in the upper right-hand picture, and the curb, it's just a continuous curb cut all the way through almost the entire property until you get to that green space in the bottom right picture.
Okay, do we have an opportunity to install some curb stops? Do you feel like that's necessary in addition to the landscaping planters?
To me,
To you, yeah, go ahead.
I do think it would be a good idea to have some, to redo some of those curbs, because right now, the way it's designed, it just lends itself to very easily pulling all these cars up in here the way they are in the
Right.
pictures. I had another question about a fence, about cars being parked behind a fence. I don't actually see a fence on the property
Right,
that they would be
Left
parked
side of it.
behind.
It's on the bottom, you see in the bottom 2 pictures, there's a fence. Right now it's open, but there's a fence that's closed actually.
so if we're looking at the bottom left, you're talking about where that sort of white,
Yes.
yeah, okay,
So it's a very small fenced-in area there, right adjacent to the building.
yeah.
It must go behind the
It holds
building.
6 cars.
Yeah, it goes from the building all the way over there's a house on the left-hand side, there's a driveway and there's a fence there. You can see the wood fence I put it up to sit there for privacy for the neighbors. And the rest of it, there, you'll see the fence there now. There's the fence that goes all the way down, goes all the way across, and it goes in the front there. So next to the building, you can sit there and put 2 cars in there. On the side of the building, just in front of that garage there, you can put another 2 cars, and then you can sit there and put 2 more in, because they don't use the back garages. I happen to own the piece of property next door. It's an apartment building. Nobody uses it, so I let them put everything behind the fence for safety. Then there's a security light that's on my other building next door that sits and lights everything up. So when I sit there and work there for 42 years, it's like I always sit there and everything behind the fence and 2 cars inside that I was gonna work on the following morning. I didn't want to be responsible for somebody's car because of people cut the converters off and stuff like that, and then it's my fault. So I never wanted that.
Okay. Any other questions, Warren?
Well, I'm still trying to understand this fence. I see in
Yeah.
this picture, next to the building, there's a fence with a gate, there's a gate right there.
Okay,
Then there's that white truck that's next to the fence. So I assume the fence goes parallel to that truck towards the back.
it does.
And then it makes a left-hand turn and goes to that, connects to the wood fence, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Metal pole there.
right, so where would the cars be parked? On this side of the fence or on the
No,
other side?
The other side.
So that-
See where the garage is, all the way to the left?
The white garage?
Yes. You can
Ah.
see them park 2 to 3 cars on that side there.
Okay.
The fence is open, but it goes all the way across there in the back too.
Gotcha. Okay. It was hard to make out from this
Yeah.
picture. I just wanted to be clear what you were talking about. So they'll actually be on the other side of that
That's
fence.
correct.
So potentially where this blue SUV is parked, right here, there's not gonna be any
No,
cars
no,
there.
there
They'll
won't
be
be.
behind this fence way
Right.
back here. Perfect. That's exactly what I was getting at, but wasn't clear from the picture.
It's hard
And when
to,
I was out there taking
yeah.
pictures, I don't recall, because it was a while ago.
yeah.
So that was the one question. The other question I had was about the quote unquote beautification in the upper left-hand picture here, which is, of course, is the frontage on St. Clair. I think that a landscaping bed and or a decorative metal fence, I think, would be appropriate in that spot. And that, would connect basically to the residential building or whatever the building is that's right next door where that red pole is, and go across to the corner. I'll leave it up to the board to decide which a treatment they feel is appropriate. But I do feel right along St. Clair, you need some kind of a clear demarcation between where the business is and where the sidewalk pedestrian space is. So in this here, right along, if you can see where the mouse is, I think that something needs to happen right here, whether it's a landscaping strip or a decorative metal fence or both, I think would be my recommendation. Whoops. But I would leave that up to the committee.
There's a way that people sit there and get in. The building next door is an apartment building that I own. That white car that you see there to the right is where the tenants sit there and park from next door. They have a camera to watch their car at night. So they come in that driveway and that's where they park all the time. So that one car is always there because they live there. They live in the building. And the building doesn't have parking. So they don't have to park on the street.
Yeah, I still feel like there should be some barrier between their property and St. Clair Avenue.
I'm just trying to figure out what we could fit in there. Cause I see is there a reason they park facing the street and not facing the,
street, that window on the building that you see right behind the white car is where the lady sits there and lives. So she has a camera there that watches her car all night long.
okay.
Madam Chair, I believe that's a continuous curb cut along St. Clair there as well. You can kind of see in the
Right.
one picture how there's pretty much no curb left there.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's from the fact that it's been a curb cut or it's just been deteriorated,
Well, there is-
people driving over it.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you. There is a curb from the corner that goes down probably 8 feet past that red pole. It's because there used to be a bus stop there. So there's a curb that goes all the way down there. There's only maybe an 8 foot from the building over that has a driveway to sit there and come in. There is curbs that sit there and come up.
Do we have a plan view of this site?
Madam Chair, could we, well, I would be in favor of approving the variance subject to this design being worked out with staff. I don't think we should design it here.
I agree with you.
Right.
And that would be a condition.
All right, I'm good with that.
Madam Chair, if I could, Councilman Harrison,
Yes,
I don't mean to interrupt. So that's why I recommended the large flower pots that can line from their building down to the corner around to their property. So we won't have people coming from that St. Clair entrance there, that they have to use the entrance off of 61st Street. Installing a fence, I don't know whether that makes sense and to require that large amount of investment at this moment. I would, again, the large flower plots like we have up in Nottingham or other parts of the community. In fact, Nora, the Recovery Association, has them out in front of her building. Those are solid. You can't move those once the plants and the gravel and the dirt are inside of those. I think that would be a very nice way that can uplift that entire corner more so than like a landscaping strip or some sort of fencing there. And it will be in line with what we are about to do in the neighborhood as well. I'm funding flower pots to line St. Clair along with some pole banners and some other items.
okay, all right. So I think, are we comfortable with flower pots?
As long as they're substantial, like I think what
Yeah,
the
it sounds like
the
a-
councilman is talking about, I
Yeah.
think that would be absolutely fine.
I still think we want some curb stops, some bumpers, some tire bumpers, the cement things that go at the front, so that people can't just like drive into the flower pot or drive into the sidewalk. And
I
then,
agree.
yeah, and then I'm gonna ask you to have it striped,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
So that it's delineated where the cars are supposed to be parked.
Okay.
And that will help, sort of wayfare people that are coming in so that they know where to go.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
And Madam Chair, if I could add one more point, I truly apologize. So the fence
Sure.
area, I sent Maurice and Nina a message to suggest that having some sort of screening across that fence, so that way whatever is back there is not visibly seen from the street. And it's a minor cost. It won't be a burden, but have that screened in so you really can't see what's back there, and that whatever vehicles are back there are not higher than the adjacent fencing between the residential property and this property. So you won't have a box truck, right, that's 20 feet tall off the ground and is right up against the resident's window. Now, those are my last comments, I promise.
I wish I'd thought of that one. That was a good suggestion, Councilman.
Excellent suggestion. Are you talking like a wood panel attached to the chain link?
No, just like like the mesh fences with the straps that go on.
The slabs.
Something minor that they can screen
Okay.
that in. So that's it.
Okay, great.
That way it doesn't cost them too much, but it also supports the neighborhood.
Okay, yeah. All right, so who's ever crafting the motion, the hours will be 7 to 7. There will be only 2 cars that are out front overnight, no car sales, no body work. The days of operation will be Monday through Saturday, no work on Sunday. At the suggestion of the councilman, we're going to use planter boxes on the Superior side. We're going to ask for some curb bumpers to be installed at the head of the parking spaces, and that the parking spaces be striped. Is there anything else? Anyone have any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
I would sit there and think, if you try to put these curb things in on the other side of the sidewalk, then you still have the driveway open. If you wanted to eliminate so no cars come in, you need the curb to be put in from the street. If the curb was in, they couldn't come in the driveway, it would eliminate all the, I'm just saying. Because having a curb on the other side of the sidewalk, what's gonna happen is people are gonna come up, they're gonna park their cars right there between the sidewalk and the curb, and they're gonna stay there. And so I would sit there and say, if you're gonna sit there and put a curbing in, the city needs to put a curb up right across to eliminate the.
It's not like curb, it's just those cement things that sit at the head of the parking
But do you
spaces.
Want us to do those, and do you want them on what side of the sidewalk? My dad's saying if you put it on the other side of the sidewalk, that people will probably park.
It goes on your side.
Yeah,
See,
Yeah.
you're gonna have cars that are gonna park from the street on the sidewalk, and they can't, I know the neighborhood, and they're forever. I watch them park there as it is.
Maurice, any input on that?
Yeah, I'm just not sure who pays for new curbs. I don't think the city pays for new curbs. And that's why I didn't push for that. But maybe the councilman can comment on that.
No, we won't pay for that. But I think having the larger pots that will be on the sidewalk will stop them from parking, plus the wheel stops. I think it'll be sufficient.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I didn't suggest that, because it would be the owner's
Right.
responsibility.
So
to do
he's,
curbs.
Councilman, your understanding, it's the wheel stops, right? The
Correct.
little bumpers, yeah.
Yeah, I think it
So
works.
that's what we're talking about.
like in a parking lot.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused about the planter boxes. Are we completely closing off any access from St. Clair? It seemed that's what the suggestion is.
Yes.
Is that
No,
correct?
so-
Yes.
No, the large, it's like how we have in front of City Hall, but not as large. They're like a third that size, which are still, great barriers. We have them throughout. Maurice, when you took the pictures at the coffee shop on Nottingham, I don't know if you remember the big orange pots that we had out there.
Mm,
You can't move those things.
Right, so it's
If
gotta
a
be,
car hit it, they're gonna damage their whole front end if they hit one of those. So
You know-
it'll be out of the right of way, but in the right of way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
On their-
yeah, they need to be at probably like at least 3 foot tall, they could be
Oh, they
oblong,
got it, yeah.
they could be rectangular and just go right across. But I think
Right.
the councilman had said earlier that, he wanted that continuous border as continuous as it needs to be so that cars can't drive up.
okay,
Go
Correct.
past
all
it.
right. So the councilman, and I'm sure you know his vision of what these flower pots look like.
Yes.
You'll work with the folks to make sure that
Yes.
those get
Yes,
installed.
I will.
So we don't need to get into the specifications of the planters.
But Madam Chair, they'll be placed in a way that nobody could come in through St. Clair.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's
That'd be
correct.
And then the neighbor that parks there would just have to come in from the other street.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
All right, Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we have heard today, for calendar number 23-144, I would move to approve based on the following conditions. The first one being that the hours of operations are between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. From Monday through Saturday, no operations on Sunday. Next condition would be that a maximum of 2 cars are stored in front overnight. The next condition would be that no body work and no car sales are permitted on the property. And finally, that the owner installs planter boxes to impede the traffic from parking in the front of the building. Hopefully I captured all of the conditions.
Striping the parking lot.
Oh, striping. Okay, we would also have a condition that the parking lot is striped so that cars know where to park.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I'd like to offer a friendly amendment that the revised lease agreement be submitted to the Board of Zoning Appeals as well.
yes, thank you for reminding us of that. I think we asked for that, but it's always good to have a reminder. Thank you, Ms. Rocca.
And I think
Okay.
we forgot 2 points, the screening of the fence and that the vehicles should not exceed the height of the adjacent fence by a foot. Next to the
Thank you,
residential property.
Councilman.
All right.
So added to that will be the screening of the chain link fence gates or the chain link, we'll just leave it at chain link fence. And the height of the cars in storage doesn't exceed the height of the fence. All right, anything else, anyone? All right, I'll take a second then.
Member Brown, I second.
Thank you. Call the vote, please.
And Madam Chair, this is assuming that we're gonna receive an updated drawing.
Correct,
showing
right.
The final decision on all the placement of all of it.
Correct. So you'll submit a drawing that has the parking stripes and where the planter boxes are gonna be located, and the material that's gonna go to screen the chain link fence, all the details that we've discussed as the conditions.
A copy of the drawing we already submitted, because.
Is that your only one?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I may only have one else. I have your email. Would that help if I just scan it and send it?
Yeah.
Not jumping out.
Yeah.
Does that work for you? All right.
All right, let me call it. All right, Ms. Holden,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Bates.
Yes.
Calendar number 23-144 is granted conditionally. We will hold ratification until we receive that updated drawing. Once we receive it, then we'll ratify it the following Monday and send you a letter. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He may
Thank
have
you.
disappeared on us.
I know. Have a good day.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. All right, then, Ms. Holzer will go back to calendar number 23-178.
Sounds good. Our next case is calendar number 23-178. This is at 2018 West 103rd Street. Kimberly Glass proposes to establish use as a daycare for up to 12 children in a B1 two-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Thank you, Ms. Holder. All right, I'm gonna swear you in. So I will state the oath and you'll reply with I do, your name and your address.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Kimberly Glass, 2018 West 103rd, Cleveland, Ohio, 44102.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in this matter?
There's a Sally Levine with her hand raised.
Yes.
Okay. All right, Sally, I'm gonna administer the oath to you as well. Please reply with I do, your name and your address with your right hand raised. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Sally Levine, 3716 Toland Road, Shaker Heights.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to speak in this matter? All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we only found that in 1913, a permit was issued to repair a roof on a one-story structure. In 1930, a permit was issued to erect a one-story garage. 1976, a permit was issued to install a chain link fence. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Thanks. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting a use variance from the requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Glass, tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, I'd like to open up a daycare center out of my home. I have several daycares I bought the license for on the west side previously. Actually, next block over, I had one in 2000, a type B daycare center. I have one now
on 30th and Chester. That's the whole building I have. But I rented out the property several years ago and moved downtown. So now I'm moving back to the property. And so I just want to establish a daycare back over there where I'm from.
Okay,
You're moving to this property?
Yes. Mhm.
on West 103.
103, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, so,
I
Is
have
the
spoken.
property empty or?
Now,
occupied?
I'm occupying it. Yes.
So you live there already?
Yes.
But you're not doing anything
No.
here?
Not yet.
okay, so you're gonna reside on the property,
Yes.
and what are your hours of operation?
6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Sunday.
Otherwise known as Sunday through Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so 7 days a week.
Mhm.
And how are you handling pickup and drop off?
Parents.
All right, and where are they are they pulling up on the street? Are they pulling in the driveway or?
I have a long driveway that they can pull up in.
Okay.
I only have one vehicle.
What are the ages of the children?
6 weeks to 12 years old.
Okay,
Madam Chair, I couldn't hear that. Was that 6 months or 6 weeks?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
And staffing?
Staffing, you only need 2 staffing, so it'd be me and my mom if I need extra staff.
Okay. All right, do we have a floor plan? All right,
I can't read it.
Yeah.
So somebody has to.
I think we're gonna need a little zoom on that, Maurice.
Or Liz can maybe, hand out
Oh, do we have
paper
printouts?
copies. Do it old school.
Okay,
Mhm.
old school, we have printouts. Okay. There we go.
I have spoke with the councilwoman in that ward as well. And where I was residing now, I do a lot of work in the community with the children as well. So that council person wrote a letter as well to bring.
Okay. We'll get that. Is that from,
That's from the ward that I'm living in now. All the
Okay.
Things that I did with the children in the community.
You want to read?
From Jenny Spencer.
yeah, I'll be read it. Yeah, you wanna read it?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
The highlights. So this is from Councilman,
Councilwoman Stephanie House Jones.
Yes.
She's writing this letter to express support for the variance requested for Ms. Kim Glass, affectionately known as Ms. Kim, the establishment of the residential daycare at this address. Ms. Kim understands the importance of providing quality childcare services as she's been a business owner of daycares for over 20 years within the community. She's had the pleasure of getting to know Ms. Kim over the past 2 years and have been impressed by her dedication and passion for creating a safe and nurturing environment for children. There is beyond her operations of daycare, she leads efforts through 79th Unity and the community group to host annual summer basketball clinics, picnics, and trunk or treat events in Ward 7 community. There's a growing need for quality childcare services in our Cleveland community, and the establishment of the residential daycare will help address this need. It will provide parents with a reliable and trustworthy option for their children's care while allowing them to work and contribute to the community's well-being. Her willingness to work with and maintain open communications with the local Ward 15 community demonstrates her commitment to being a positive addition to the neighborhood. She requests that the Board of Zoning Appeals consider granting the variance for Ms. Kimberly Glass as her residential daycare is well positioned to add value and make positive impact on the Ward 15 neighborhood. Again, that was Stephanie House Jones, Ward 7.
okay, and you said that you have had communication with Councilwoman Spencer?
Yeah, she said she actually out of town, won't get back until today, so she won't be able to be here.
Did we get any correspondence from her?
I haven't received anything. Did you see anything, Maurice?
I did not, Madam Chair.
Okay. And Ms. Glass, first of all, thank you for the drafted floor plans. Much appreciated. And I see on the site plan page, you have, the driveway, you have, space for 3 vehicles to stack in there. Just go by floor and tell us how you're gonna utilize the rooms. So how are you going to use the second floor, the first floor, and then the basement?
Okay, the second floor, I have 3 bedrooms up there, which one will be mine? The other one on the right side will be utilized for school agers because they're older. So you typically put your older ones at the top when you're up there. The bottom, the first floor level, I have 3 rooms plus the kitchen. So one room will be solely for infant. If I get an infant, for that room will be decorated up for infant, toddlers for the next room and so forth.
Okay. All right. And, is the basement gonna be used for any childcare, did
No.
you say? No.
No.
Yeah, because I was looking at this, I'm like, your mechanicals are kind of scattered all over the place down there for some reason, so. Okay, great. All right, any questions or comments, board?
What are your plans for the exterior property? You know, will it be evident that this is a daycare from the outside?
Yes, I will have a sign in the yard that says the name of the business and the phone number on there to contact.
Okay. What about any like play equipment? Is any of that stuff involved?
That stuff will be behind the gate, so no one can just walk up and take it or do something, but behind the fencing area, we will have little things we have outside for them.
In the
In
backyard?
the backyard,
Okay.
behind that brown fence.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I see you put the fence up at the back of the house.
Yeah,
right?
I put a fence all around it now, because there
Okay.
wasn't no area between the house next door, so I fenced it all around.
Okay, all right. Any other
The
questions,
next
board?
door, as you see all those cars, I have, now I have they're made a case with them getting their cars out, because the house next door to me has like 7 cars, campers, tires, so I filed the complaint, so the police have been out there ticketing their cars, so that some of them are moved that you see on the left side, but yeah, it was so many cars.
Yeah, and I see ones over the sidewalk.
And yeah, and so I had to go on that side because I was trying to put a fence on that side too to block off. But he had the car so close to the window that I couldn't. So we did get that taken care of, so I was able to fence that side to separate us from that side too.
Okay,
Madam Chair, because the floor plan just identifies an ordinary house, I'm having a hard time of understanding how it accommodates up to 12 children.
okay. So let's go back to our discussion of what you were gonna do per floor. And, let's start with the first floor.
Okay, see, a center and a house is totally different, so you have to occupy in the house your whole space. So how you have a living room and a dining room, and you won't have that. You have an open space where you have specifically, they're gonna eat right here. They're gonna play in this area will be for reading, this area will be for diaper changing. So
That's right, and
right,
your floor plan
right,
doesn't
so I
say
can
it.
have that all, wrote out in each room where it would go, but they just said submit this, so I just submitted this.
I understand, but what you just referenced is the information I'm looking for.
Okay.
So just, you can tell us what what you're gonna use for which?
Yeah, so when you first walk through the door, that room will be used for infants, diaper changing, and nap time. Cause that's the biggest space. The next room we will use for eating, game playing, homework hours. The next room will be where the television is. And of course, you can have a table set in the middle, but you can move the table over when it comes for nap time to occupy your space, as long as they're so many feet apart on cots or mats, whatever we use.
So where's nap time gonna be
And
then?
that's what I'm saying. It's an open concept.
Yeah.
All I have, so I can have it right there, right here, living room, dining room, like lined up.
Okay.
Because it's still an open concept from each room. So each room is not boxed off where you have to go in the door to go in the living room, the dining room. You can hit all the rooms right there.
Okay, then go to the second floor for me.
Second floor, we have the 3 bedrooms. So the bedroom straight ahead, the larger room, that's the room where I reside in.
At the front of the house.
Yes. And on the right side is where we have the game, like video games, homework hour, table up there for the older kids.
Which one is that?
To the right, as soon as you walk up the steps, the room to the right.
Okay, the smaller room.
Yeah.
Okay. And then,
And once again, when they say 12 children, you're not going to have 12 infants, 12 toddlers. You know, it's still a ratio of how many you can have per staffing.
what's the ratio?
So it's like one to 12 for a staff member, but if you have 2 infants, you can't get no more than 2 infants out of those 12 children.
Okay,
So I'll have to have 10 from 3 years old on up. I can't have 3 infants or 4 toddlers and 2 infants.
okay,
So it's a ratio.
all right. And I think I missed it, but what's the room on the bottom of the screen gonna be?
So that'll be my office.
At your office? Okay. All right. You good with that, Ms. Brown?
Yeah, she answered my question. Thank you, Madam
Good,
Chair.
good.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do this full-time? Or will you have a job in addition?
No,
What's the
this will be a
plan?
full-time job because I'm there, but once again, I may get a kid that leave because my hours is 6 a.m. My last kid may leave at 6 p.m. and I'm free.
Madam Chair, I also have just a question. If Ms. Glass could, high level, walk us through, the requirements, you know, I know there are licensure requirements to run a daycare facility. If you could just let us know, since you're moving your business from a different place to this house, is there an inspection that happens?
Yes.
Can you just give us a little bit of info about that, just so the board is clear on if you are approved today, then what is the next step?
Okay, so the next step will be after today, I will have to reach out to the county and let them know as well, this is what I'm trying to do here. And they will ask for this, what I'm doing today, I'll present that. Then they'll set up an inspection to come out to make sure and say, okay, you can only have 2 kids in this room. You can only have 4 upstairs at this time. Then you have to submit a fire inspection, where the fire person has to come out and say, okay, well, no, I don't want no kids in the basement. I don't want, they'll tell you all that as you go, but it's after this, it's more inspections from the county that you have to pass to even get open.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that. I just wanted to make sure that we all understood, and me in particular, what happens after you hear from us today.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that question. I mean, we learn a little bit every time we have one of these cases, and thank you, ma'am, for explaining it. What it brings to mind to me is we approve a variance that runs with the property.
Correct.
But it doesn't connect back to any kind of certificates or registrations or annual approvals that she may need.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's an important point too, that once it's approved as a daycare facility, it can always be used as a daycare facility by future owners because it runs with the land. So I think that's an important note before we
Right. I mean,
render a
that's-
decision.
That's something we weigh in every time we do a variance because the variance attaches to the property. So, did we have a aerial view, Maurice? Just interested to see where this parcel lands on the block. So we have, you're kind of sandwiched in between those other 2 houses.
What is
Yeah,
that?
it's a lot right there. It's only one house on the left-hand side, and it's a big, huge parking lot.
Yeah, what does that parking lot belong to?
I have no clue, because it's always gated off. I've never seen no one.
It's always gated off?
I mean, chained off where you can't drive in it or even turn around.
Okay. Maurice, you have any idea what that is?
I have no idea what that parking lot is. I was wondering myself when I was out there who
Yes,
parks
and
there.
it's always chained off. You
Yeah.
can't even turn around in there.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Sally, did you have anything you wanted to comment on?
No, I just, we prepared the documents. If you need any updates, we can make those modifications.
Oh, she's
But
the architect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As I said to Ms. Glass, I appreciate the drafted drawings. Interestingly enough, it's something that I used to do for clients who had childcare years ago. So I would do the as-built drawings. So I much prefer that to someone who does it themselves on a sheet of notebook paper. So,
Madam Chair, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I have one more question.
yes.
Mrs. Glass, have you spoken to your neighbors? We don't have any kind of testimony from the
Yeah,
council
I've
person,
spoken
so.
with several of them. Of course, the one that I called on, we barely speak, it'd be just like that because they're upset that I wanted some of this
Yeah.
stuff cleared out. But the one on the right side, we talked to her husband, cuts the hedges. We have hedges that separating us. He cuts them for me. I pay him a couple bucks. The lady across the street.
No, did you tell them that you want to open daycare?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of kids?
Yeah,
and
they
what
were
it
okay.
would be like?
Actually, the one across the street, she has 4 children, so she's excited.
Mhm.
She won't have to drive far. She can just come right across the street when she get off.
Oh, that'd be convenient for her.
Then, Madam
Alright.
Chair, to that point, was there a zoning notice, sign put out front in the property as well, like we've been doing? Or
Yeah,
is-
there was a
Yes,
sign. Mhm.
SOP, Ms. Brokaw, thanks to Mr. Brulenz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, city planning, you want to chime in?
Madam Chair, yeah, so it's obvious that the applicant is well-versed in daycare. It's obvious, I mean, it becomes very clear, and listening to you speak, that you know what you're doing as far as daycare, so that's a plus. One question I wanted to clarify with Liz was, with Secretary Kukla, was that, so the whole question of going with the property now, as long as that would be only if daycare, let's say that Mrs. Glass sold the house to somebody else. The only way that you could continue with the daycare is if they immediately continued with daycare. If it's not daycare for more than 2 years, then you'd have to reestablish the use. So that's the one loophole with going with the life of the property, is only if it's under continuous use for the life of the property. And am I right? Is that it's 2 year? Is it a 2 year or is it 1 year?
Yes, it's 2 years involuntary, and it's 6 months if they voluntarily abandon the use.
Right. So if she sold the house to someone, they decided to just live in it as a residence. And then 2 years down the road, either they sold it again or decided they wanted to do daycare, they'd have to come back to BZA to get another approval for that. So it does go with the life of the property with an asterisk. So there is that. 12 children is a lot of people coming and going out of the house. So that's one of the things that we always take into account when we are looking at these, because you are running a business in the middle of a residential district. That being said, you are also close to the corner. So it's not like you're smack dab in the middle of a residential neighborhood where it has more of an impact, in my opinion, with parking in front of everybody else's houses and everything. You have, because it looks like there's a commercial business across the street, diagonally across the street at the corner. So there's a lot of on-street parking that wouldn't even affect any of the neighbors. So that's a good mitigating circumstance. She has great reference from Councilwoman House. Unfortunately, she's not the councilwoman for this area, but still, that is a good piece. I would love to see something from Councilwoman Spencer if she was in fact in support of this. So I would recommend approval of this project, just because there's a few mitigating factors that I think allow it to be used as a daycare.
Right, I think your point with regard to its adjacency to that vacant parking lot and a business on the corner, and that there's an expanse of street parking, we tend to be really wary of approval when a house is like smack dab in the middle of a residential area. Yeah. just because of the traffic and noise, things like that. So, okay, if there are no other questions or comments, board, I'll entertain a motion. Ms. Roca, you want to take this one?
Sure, Madam Chair, I can do that. I move that we approve calendar number 22-178 based on the testimony we've heard today, so that the appellant.
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, so that the appellant may open a daycare center for up to 12 children. The appellant will reside on the property. The hours of operation will be 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Pickup and drop off will be in the driveway, and the children will be 6 weeks to 12 years old. 1 to 2 staff members will be present on the property at any given time, and the basement will not be used for childcare. And the appellant shall properly adhere to all other licensure requirements as required by the state or any other governmental authority.
Great, thank you. We have a typo on the, I think you're probably reading off of that. So it's really calendar 23-178, not 22-178, but we're reading it as it appears. So
thank you.
Yes,
I did not
that's
notice.
Yeah, that's the only correction. And that's what Ms. Brown was asking about while you were speaking. So, okay, that said, I'll take a second.
Board Member Wilson, I would second.
Ms. Wilson seconds, if you'll call the vote, please.
Thank you. Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Bates.
Yes.
Calendar 23-178 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact us on Wednesday of next week for further.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you for the good drawings. I agree with
Thank you.
Ms.
Yes.
Faith, that having a nice set of drawings does help.
Yes, yeah. Extra points for having drafted drawings.
Thank you.
Nice job, Sally.
Thanks.
Okay, Ms. Holzer, we'll proceed to calendar number 23, AKA 22-180.
Thank you. Our next, I believe, last case is calendar number 23-180. This is at 1923 Willie Avenue. Wiley Hill LLC proposes to erect a 3-story, 21-unit building and 22-car parking lot in a K4 semi-industry district and urban form overlay district. The applicant appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3, including a note that City Planning Commission and Planning Department approval is required. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Wilson for the oath.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Holder. Who here wishes to speak in this matter? Assuming they're
Wesley Harper with Horton Harper Architects and Wiley Hill LLC.
Okay, I will administer the oath. After I state the oath, please raise your right hand, reply with I do, your name and your address. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Wesley Harper, 812 Huron Road East, Cleveland, 44115.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak in this matter? All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Great. Could I have the history of the property, please?
Sure, Madam Chair, there's not much on this property that we could find in our records. We can state that it was originally zoned a general industry, and then in 2017, it was placed in a semi-industry district and an urban form overlay district. There are no variances on file, and again, we didn't find anything else in our records administration offices. Thank you.
Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum setback and required build-out requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you very much. We didn't see you for a while, Mr. Harper. Now all of a sudden you're back 2 weeks in a row. So So do you want to fill us in on this project, please?
Yes, thank you. So we've been working on this project for a couple of years now, and we've been through Planning Commission for design review. We've been through the neighborhood process. And so we're, of course, now coming to Board of Zoning Appeals. And so what we've proposed here is, again, a 21-unit apartment building. The site itself has a significant amount of topography on the western portion. If you look at the site plan that we have here, there is a line labeled with toe of bank, and that's essentially the portion of the property that once you start to excavate into, you have to build significant retaining walls to kind of hold up the hillside that exists. At the top of the hill is St. Wendellin's Church. You know, we're looking to disturb that hillside as little as possible. And just from a budget perspective, not have to construct, you know, significant retaining walls. So the building itself that we have proposed right now is kind of as close to the property line along Wiley as possible. You can kind of see the line that defines the street itself actually comes into the property line. And it might even show up in some of the images that you had previous to this site plan. But essentially what we have is a property line that goes into the street itself. So we obviously can't build to the required setback of the urban form overlay because of that. And then in regards to the second variance that's listed, that we only are building along, I think, 57% of the Wiley frontage. We're kind of maxed out as it currently stands due to the topography of the site. So with those two realities, I think, you know, we've tried to meet the zoning code as much as possible. And I think it's pretty reasonable to approve these variances based on those issues. So in terms of the third variance, Planning Commission approval, you know, that's not a variance that we really need to get. We've been approved by planning for schematic and final. So I think if it would please the board here, we don't necessarily need to have that variance granted. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
What's the grade change on that slope? Is it really dramatic?
It is, you know, in terms of the angle of the slope, it's probably less than 45%, but it is quite significant. You can see it in the upper left. You can kind of see the covered hillside, which we don't really want to disturb. And then to the picture to the right, you can see how the topography starts to come up, and there's even a retaining wall that exists to the far right there. So those are things that we're looking to avoid. And I think Planning Commission in their approval last year, or maybe it was 2021, I can't recall. I think they were obviously aware of these issues and didn't have an issue approving it because of it.
Has that hillside been disturbed before, or is that, is it just basically in situ as it's always existed?
There is an old retaining wall at the base of the hillside. We will likely have to remove that. Sorry for the sirens in the background here. But you know, we'll manage that portion of the hillside to ensure there's no, you know, hillside that starts to fall down into the site.
Okay, all right. I see we just got a comment from Donna Gregonis. Is that relative to this case?
You know what, I can't see it on my computer because the way I have things set up here,
Okay.
Liz, can you see the comments?
My laptop just died.
Donna, are you with us?
She stated that it was.
I can read it if you need me to.
Well,
Hello,
we
this
don't
is
have,
Donna
we don't
with,
have, a-
Tremont West. Sorry, I was
Oh,
having
there we go.
issues. Unmuting.
Donna, we're just
Good
gonna,
morning,
we just
everyone.
need to, good morning, good to,
Um,
good to.
I wrote something in
good
the
to have you
chat.
with
I
us.
said that
Before, Donna,
the developer has gone through the community process in addition to the architect for the past few years, and even recently, nothing has come up from this. I know some of the residents that hadn't heard it potentially, but you know, when this did go through the process a couple of years ago, from the notes I've seen, it just seems like it was approved, and it was approved by Economic Development Committee as well. So thank you.
okay. Donna, you
Madam
obvious,
Chair,
yes.
she said her speaker's not working, so I don't think she can hear you.
Okay, all right.
Madam Chair, I just sent her a message that she needs to swear in.
Thank you.
Sorry, I know. Sorry, my speaker's not working properly. I think it's going to my
Okay.
headphones. I can like kind of hear it. This is Donna Gregonis with Tremont West Development Corporation. 2406 Professor Avenue is our office. Apologies, everyone.
And Nina, can you just message her to say that she swears or affirms to tell the truth? And say I do. Thank you.
No problem.
Technology.
I swear to tell the truth. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, great. All right. All right. So we heard Ms. Gregonis's testimony. So they went through economic development and got approval there, and there's no notes of opposition. So that's good.
Madam Chair, I have I want to clarify with the architect, with respect to ingress and egress to the property, that hillside is, a challenge to see cars as they're coming down the hill. So I just want to hear about how you're handling that.
Sure. So I think, the fact that we have to keep the building, a little further back from the property line than we typically would, allows the sight lines towards the east to be pretty significant. And then I think just the matter of clearing out some of the overgrowth allows the view up towards Wiley, or I'm sorry, west on Wiley, allows that sight line to be better than it maybe is right now, or was prior to some of the vegetation being cleared off.
Yeah, thank you for that, because right now, if there's a car that is pulling out from that property, they really can't see cars coming down the hill. And so I'm glad you're addressing that, because otherwise it could be a real pain point for cars driving down Wiley and then cars pulling out of that proposed property.
Yeah, agreed. I think, we'll definitely be keeping our landscaping quite low where the curb cut hits Wiley, kind of further in the property to maintain the sight lines, because people historically have maybe sped a little bit through here because there's nothing on the street. So I think the presence of, some new development hopefully just naturally slows it down too.
And then one more question, you have the railroad tracks right there. Are you doing any screening, or is there any way, what's the separation between your property and the tracks?
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's been a part of the reason it's taken us so long to get to this point, I'd say, after our initial approval. We actually did pick up a small wedge of property from the railroad, just to improve our parking and the green space on the site. But the right of way of the railroad, basically the railroad itself has went defunct in the past 2 years, I believe. So there is no more rail service on this right of way. It previously served the grain mill along the Cuyahoga River in the flats.
I'm very familiar with that property, which is no longer in operation.
Yeah, so the idea, we think, is that that right of way will likely become some sort of trail that goes through the city. So that's something that we're very excited to, I guess, learn more when more info comes around. So in some ways, you know, the site will be even further improved if that happens. So fingers crossed.
Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
So, Mr. Harper, to Ms. Roca's point with regard to the visibility for the, particularly the egress, is there any need to install like a fisheye mirror so that people have a better field of vision?
I don't think so, but I think if any issues did come about, you know, we likely submit something to the city to do that. But I think right now we're comfortable that that would be required.
And with regard to the trail, Ms. Roca asked some good questions today. With regard to the trail, do you know who is, what entity is working on that?
I don't know personally. I don't know if the Metro Parks has looked into it or, you know, the canal folks. But it's actually one of the first rail lines, I think, that ever existed in the city back in, you know, the 1850s and 60s. So it's a historical right of way, I would say, and hopefully, you know, whoever does take it over, you can really do some nice improvements there and add some recreational options to the area.
Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments? City planning, you want to chime in?
Yeah, Maurice Rule, City Planning. One interesting aspect of this, as some of you know on the board here, the board is usually restricted in the way it can grant variances. However, if you read the statute, they can only, the restriction only applies if you're moving closer than what is stated in the setback, not further back. So this obviously is a part of the new form-based code. This was the urban form overlay was obviously an attempt at instituting some form-based elements into our existing zoning code. And so that's why we have this, you know, where you're supposed to be within a range of the setbacks. So you are able to grant that variance. And to that end, I would say this is probably one of the most irregular shaped pieces of property that I have looked at the BZA in a long time. And also when you factor in the topography challenges, this is a very, very unique site. And so, yeah, we would agree that all of these variances are appropriate. We would recommend approval.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we always have issue with the front yard setbacks. So thank goodness we don't have to, we can move forward on this particular case. And yeah, I don't think it's often we see a lot line that runs into the street, so. All right, I will entertain a motion then.
Madam Chair, based on the testimony that we have heard today, I would move to approve calendar number 2318.
Excellent. Could I have a second?
Board Member Roca, Oh, Ms. Brown, go ahead.
Thank you. Member Brown, I second.
Great, thank you. We'll call for the vote.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Holder?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Baker?
Yes.
Calendar number 23-180 is granted, noting that number 3 is not included in that motion. And we will ratify this next Monday. We will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact our office on Wednesday, see if it's ready to go to the next step. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Harper.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye. All right, on to old business. We have number 1 and number 2 without objection.
No objection.
Without objection.
Okay, thank you. All right, Liz, you want to talk about these other 2 items?
These are just their typical affirmations that they're stating that they're not going to have their permits within the 6 months. It seems that both of them are having issues with completing the architectural drawings. So they are just requesting an affirmation.
Okay. Any objection, board? Okay. All right, no objections. So those are a go. All right, anyone have anything else? Okay. We're adjourned.
All right, bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. I see it's hair down day, Miss Roca, for both of us.
Yes, that's true.